I am back in Kansas City. You can see I've got the cover lifted up on the Karmann Ghia there. I have somebody who is going to repair the dents. And let's just take a quick peek at the damage now that I've got it cleaned up. You can see the major damage. It had 2 dents. This one I kind of pushed out from behind by hand, so it's pretty good all the way up to, you can see that crown right there, so it needs to be pushed out. And then this one here, I pushed on a little bit, but it didn't seem to want to go, and I didn't want to do any more damage. So I found a paintless dent guy who's going to work on both of these dents at some point this winter. He couldn't lock in on a date, so whatever, he's gonna call and then he'll have access to the car. And actually, when I got all the rubber cleaned off of here, the paint is in really good shape here. It's a little bit scratched up here, you can see, but this is all in the clear coat. There's nothing that went through to the color. So I will wait for him to fix that. And my hope is that I can sand and buff this and get it back to good without having to paint the entire car, which is kind of what I'm after. This thing's a driver. I've been driving it for 12 years now, and that's kind of what I want back out of it, is just my car back so it doesn't look like it's been hit. Back on the 356, the gentleman who sold me the car, I sent him a list of the parts that were still missing, and he and a friend of his went through a ton of parts boxes looking for stuff for me, and they found a couple bins of parts, some backing plates for the disc brakes, and then they found all of the disc brake components. And the previous owner, 2 owners ago, had gone through, replated, re-sleeved, and rebuilt all 4 calipers, which is pretty sweet to uncover. So yeah, we've got a couple calipers down there that are in really good shape. Then there's all new pads, and then he's got some bearings and some other items for the disc brake components. Brake lines. What was in here? Oh yeah, more brake shoes. I think this is the emergency or the parking brake shoes and that sort of stuff. So that was a great box. Very expensive parts in there, because I think some of them are only 2 years, so 64, 65. Some of them are 63 as well. But then I was missing a drive hub. That's a pretty expensive part there. I had one, but not the other. Accelerator pedals, some lenses, and things of that nature. Headlights, there we go. And then somewhere in one of these boxes is the speakers. Oh, these are it. The original speakers from the radio. So that's kind of a nice thing to have as well. So starting to get complete. I'm still missing torsion bars and some things like that. But I think we'll get on without those. I've got a source for some more. I'm actually looking at somebody's parts collection right now, thinking about buying the entire collection. It has a lot of the missing pieces and parts that I need. Our focus today is going to be on some of these old rusty bits. One of my favorite ways to clean up parts is with this stuff. It's phosphoric acid. You get it at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, the big box stores. Basically, I've bought 3 gallons of it. I'm gonna pour them in this bucket, and then we're just gonna load it with parts, and it will sit and eat all of the rust off of our suspension parts. So I just wanna clean up a handful of suspension parts, and then I have some epoxy paint. I'll talk about that when we get the parts cleaned up. Being very careful not to spill it, do anything crazy with it. This is pretty diluted. I want to say it's maybe 10 or 15% acid, and the rest is some kind of wetting agent or something. But the big idea here, think back to 6th grade chemistry class, is that we have parts that have been oxidized, and this is a reducer, so oxygen reduction is the chemistry lesson here, and we're hoping to basically particulate out the iron oxide that's on these and combine it with the phosphoric acid. Is that, what does it create? Iron phosphate? I think that's right. So anyway, that's the big idea here. So we are gonna take these parts, and they'll have to go, they'll go in this way. for a little while, and then we'll flip them upside down and they'll go in the other way to get both things done. This is the tow bar, and I've already got like 3 or 4 of those, but we're just gonna throw it in there. And then this is the cover, I think, for the steering box, if I'm not mistaken. It does have a little funky, whatever that stuff is on the back, but it'll probably not survive. And then our transmission mounts here, there's a rubber piece that's on there. Not sure if the acid will eat the rubber piece or not, but the rubber piece needs to probably be replaced, would be my guess. So we're gonna just let it rip. And then there's the other half of the transmission mounts there. So that and that, we'll put the fasteners in there as well. These will soak. We'll probably come back, let's call it like an hour maybe, and check the progress on these. We've got 2 hours on the parts here. You can see a little bit of stuff there. Starting to clean up. Let's see what these guys are looking like. Getting there. We're starting to get rid of the rust there. You can see the nice clean metal. It's been like 5 hours. So we'll come back in a few more, see what do they look like. A little baking soda in here. This will neutralize the acid. Well, here we go. A couple parts are out here. Drain a little bit more of that acid off. Putting them in the disinfectant here. The parts are looking pretty clean. I think I can clean the rest of that little bit of rust up, but this is looking pretty clean. And then I've got this other pile here with all our nuts, bolts, and washers and stuff. This part, and then all the little parts came out pretty clean. Again, anything that we have left, yeah, there we go. That's the devil coming out there, getting it neutralized. But anything else, or anything that we have left on there, we can clean up by hand with a little wire brush. I think we'll be in really good shape with that. We are returning. It has been almost 24 hours. These parts have been soaking in various ways. These I flipped last night, so they should be in good shape there. We'll take a look at them. Always scary putting your hand in a big bucket of acid. This part looks good. All the little rust appears to be gone. Ooh, there's a couple little spots there, but that's all right. We'll throw them over here. Then there should be one more part in here. Where are you at, buddy? Like noodling for catfish or something, you know? We've got parts that are out of the soup, dried off, and then I hit them with a little bit of 80 grit just to get the paint off in some areas. There were a couple spots where, as I was sanding just a light coat of paint off the old factory, I'm guessing it's like Japanning, maybe. As I was getting that off, I saw a little bit of rust, so some of the parts went back into the soup. Others got cleaned up. And if the paint is still stuck after hitting it pretty hard with some 80 grit, I'm saying that paint is good enough to stay. I like it as a foundation for whatever is going to go over it next. You can see the hardware down there is looking pretty good. That plate, I just had to dunk the bottom edge for a couple more hours after I hit it with some sandpaper. There was some paint that was stuck and there was some rust under that paint. So got rid of the paint, stuck her back in. It's looking good. Now I have my steering arms in there, and there's a couple, the horns are actually underneath the water. Not sure if that's good for the electrical. There's like a transformer in there that buzzes that makes the horn go. Not sure if it's good for that or not, but I couldn't get any of the screws loose. And I don't think the screws are so small. I don't think the torch is going to work on that. So this is, I've got my fingers crossed. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to cut all the fasteners off those horns to get them repairable. And then I'll deal with the electronics inside and figure out what I need to do there. I gave all my parts a good wipe down with Prep-All. And now it's time to spray this stuff. We'll go outside and see. I've got all my parts popsicled. We've got a little redneck paint booth set up here. Just kind of grab one of the sway bar there and gave it some baling wire. Got all the parts kind of hanging up there so we can paint them. And then a few things hanging up over here. Hopefully we don't get any collateral damage on the ladder. I might put some cardboard down there here real quick. All right, I'm doing this one-handed, but the first step in this is to grab this little red guy, and then there's a spout on the bottom, so shake. All right, we should be all activated there. I'm gonna try and follow along here, but it's always interesting trying to one-hand the camera. Oh, yeah, there we go. Get her in the frame there, Greg. Spielberg. Here we go. Let's see if we can't. I don't know why it's sideways like that, but it is. There we go. I'm gonna bring you all back. Just a few minutes later, maybe 15 minutes. These guys have been kicking off. Paint's very flat, very flat. Looks good. Of course, I got a few runs and some things just because it's the nature of spring and windy conditions. Trying to make sure you got enough paint going on, but all in all, I'd say it looks pretty good. I don't know how it's going to perform over time, but fingers crossed it'll be some just good base for the suspension parts. A lot of people just use like a satin black rattle can, and the 2K primer I feel like is going to give it a fighting chance to survive. Here they are, a little while longer, dried and decent. Some of these didn't get a really good coat. These still need to be cleaned up, but our little grills here look pretty nice. Little paint run there. These guys look good. So yeah, I'd say I'd give the Spray Max a passing grade. It's expensive for what it is, but when you're in a pinch, works pretty darn good. I think that's going to be it for this one from Kansas City again, heading back home very, very soon. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, had good time with their friends and family. I want to wish Darren, VW Darren, for those who don't know, a happy 60th birthday. I saw he was having a party down there in Florida, and very regretful that I couldn't get down there to attend, but I was here in Kansas City at some work meetings all week last week. What a bummer. I love just hanging out with the guys, and Darren's such a cool dude to be around. His knowledge is so deep about engines and drag racing. I think it was CT had a little clip on there, and Darren was telling him all about everything there was to do with drag racing. It's impressive how much that guy knows, but when you're on an NHRA, whatever, national champion team, you tend to know quite a bit about the drag racing stuff. So anyway, guys, take care.